I bet you don't know why Diddy's attorney quit the case. I do, and I'm about to tell you. Now, to understand how catastrophic of a mistake this was, you need to understand how RICO cases are prosecuted, okay? RICO case is typically won by proving that a defendant was involved in an enterprise and engaged in a pattern of racketeering activity, okay? So each predicate is a charge that the prosecution is trying to prove. If they can prove a certain number of them, then they're guilty of the RICO, okay? And in this filing that their attorney filed, they admitted that he is guilty of one of the charges in the RICO. And just to add further insult to injury, the charge they were asking the judge to drop is the one they admitted that he's guilty of in the filing. So if you would have asked me yesterday if Diddy was going to spend the rest of his life in prison, I would have said 100%. Oh, I mean, you know, whatever. I would have been like, it seems very likely that that is the outcome of all of this, you know, spectacle. Now, if you ask me today, after reading the motion that the defense just filed with the court, and my own interpretation of the facts that they lay out, I would say my confidence of Diddy being found guilty and going to jail for a very long time has reduced immensely, because this filing goes right at the heart of the prosecution's case. Not at the case exactly, but in the manner with which evidence was collected. Imagine that like evidence that you're collecting is like a tree. And the more that you get, it's like different branches here, different branches here, different branches here. And eventually, like in the Diddy case, it looks like you just have this gigantic, beautiful tree of all of the evidence against this guy, of all the crimes he committed, okay? So if you think about it legally, the way that you would want to address all of those things, because you can't address each one of them one by one, is you want to chop the tree down, right? You want to just chop down the whole tree. So how did this tree get started, you know? And if you find a way to demonstrate that all of the evidence that the prosecution has was the result of ill-gotten gains and misleading statements by the law enforcement agencies that were going after Diddy, then that's exactly what you'd be able to do. You're not allowed to use that piece of evidence. You're not allowed to use that piece of evidence. You're not allowed to use that piece of evidence. And in this case, one thing that you have is this unbelievable central point whereby, as far as we know, all of this digital and evidence was collected, which was under the the search warrant, where they went into his homes and they got all of the hard drives. They got access to all of his communications. They got access to all of the videos that he kept. And we know he kept a lot of things he shouldn't, given that he had the copy of the video of him dragging Cassie down the hallway from the hotel that he bought from the hotel. Why would you keep that? What kind of lunatic would keep that video? You know, he kept it. That's where they got it. All right. So because of that, if the defense can prove that the way that they were able to get those search warrants was through misleading statements, that they didn't actually tell the truth to the court that was going to issue the search warrants, then that would be a catastrophic moment for the prosecution. And the filing that they gave and the reasoning that they gave, I'm going to read it to you shortly, and you're going to go, man, that is... So if this case all hinges on this one thing, that does not look like a very sturdy position to be in if you're the prosecution and you're like, you know what I mean? So we'll go through exactly what that means, because honestly, this could blow up the case completely. We're going to talk about that. Also, you know how the attorney quit the case? Anthony Ricco, his attorney quit the case, and there's not been any firm evidence of exactly why he quit the case. He put he had to make like a formal request to the court that he's leaving the case, and he writes out why. And the wording that he used in his documentation was kind of the part that really piqued everyone's interest, because he says, I can no longer under any circumstances provide adequate defense that would be up to whatever it is, the bar standards. And the way that comes off when a guy's quitting a case when their client has 120 civil lawsuits of people accusing him of egregious predatory criminal behavior is, of course, I mean, how do you think, how is everybody going to interpret that? You know what I mean? They're going to interpret that as, this guy, he suddenly grew a conscience. A defense attorney, he grew a conscience. He just couldn't handle the 120th person who said that Diddy did this. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. Okay, well, so the reality is, in my opinion, you bunch of attorneys out there looking to slap a libel or slander charge on your boy, in my opinion, I think I'm going to lay out a pretty compelling case that he was almost certainly fired and not quit. And the reason that he was fired is due to another motion that was filed with the court. And when you, not only am I going to run you through this so you can see both motions, and it's like, the point I'm making is this is probably why he was kicked off the case / quit, whatever. But also let's look at the quality of work by these two apparently separate parts of Diddy's defense team. And after I lay out the two side-by-side examples, you tell me, does he have the best attorneys still remaining on his team, or did the best attorneys just leave? Because there was one side that was incredibly elite competence and another side that was incompetence on a level that's kind of unbelievable. One of them's still there and one of them's gone. So you guys can tell me in the comments which you think is which after we get into the details. But real quick before we get into it, for the last time this month, I'm going to give you an opportunity to make $50 for free if you haven't done it already. So check these guys out, and then we're going to get into the details on this Diddy case. Now, if I told you that you could make $50 for free if you take 90 seconds of your time to do something, it's something that you would do, especially if the 90 seconds is going to be something fun. Because that's exactly what PrizePicks and I are offering you right now. I want to be very clear. There is no gimmick here. There's no chance where this does not lead to $50 free for you. There's nothing you have to pick right. There's no game you have to win. If you play a $5 roster on PrizePicks, you will get $50 into your account whether you win or lose the roster that you entered. How much you can win in addition to the automatic $50 depends on the size of the roster that you pick, but I'll let you play around with that a little bit. Now, you also could try to win real big and play more than $5, but you don't have to. Take a look over here. Look at what I stand to win if I hit this roster. Hold me accountable to this. I'm putting it on my channel. I'm putting my face on it. Hold me accountable, and also hold me accountable to this. This game is super fun. You're going to want to play. As you can see on the left side of the screen, all you do is go through the athletes that you want to pick in a specific sport. In this case, we're doing UFC because my girl Rose Namajunas is fighting on Saturday. In addition to MMA, they have college basketball, college football, NBA, NFL, any sport you could think of, you can play on PrizePicks. Now, in the roster you see over here, this is obviously a UFC roster. I'm playing a $5 game, which means if this was my first game, I would see a free $50 put into my account the second that the game starts. So come join me for PrizePicks. It's an amazing game. You'll be supporting my channel and you'll be getting free money. Also, look at my roster, take a screenshot, and then you can see how I did. And also, I want to know who you guys are picking. Send me your rosters if you want. Link is in the description. Use promo code JesseOnFire for the $50 bonus, and that is what it is. Now, I've never done this in 5 years doing this channel, but in this case, the sponsor that you just looked at, PrizePicks, I'm really trying to demonstrate incredible numbers for them because we're in a contract month, and that provides the opportunity for people who want to help the channel. You can really help me and the channel if you signed up. And you'll get a free $50, just like you said, but it would be incredibly helpful if you did this time. I appreciate you guys. Either way, don't feel obligated. All right, so just a reminder, what we're doing is we are going through a couple of these fact patterns. I'm going to show you both attorneys, and then I'm going to tell you why this attorney quit the Diddy case.
He's doing fine. It's a difficult circumstance. Proceeding with serious consequences, and all of us are addressing it accordingly.
Okay, so you got that? That is one of his attorneys. All right, so put that in your memory bank, and now let's move over here. This is the other attorney that was on the case prior to one of them quitting.
Watch something. We have appealed the initial bail decision to the Second Circuit, and we're going to keep trying to get him out in every way that's available to us.
How do you feel about the superseding indictment?
I only know what's happened, and that hasn't happened.
What's your argument to exclude the video from the hotel room from the evidence?
So I'm most respectful. Watch yourself. Not going to get into that. We put that in our court papers that we filed yesterday, and I'm not going to elaborate on that.
What do you make of the Justin Bieber comments and the people who are shopping around this tape in Hollywood, apparently? Are you concerned about that?
Not at all.
Why?
It has nothing to do with the case.
Well, there's someone apparently on this video who says that they were involved in the freak-offs and it's being shopped around Hollywood. Have you heard anything?
I have my hands full with the discovery, and I'm not really paying attention to all that other stuff.
Listen to these things through the ears of a person assessing a legal mind, okay? A legal mind. What did he say right there? Okay, everybody heard him say, no, I haven't heard about any of that. That's not what he said. So he didn't lie. He also didn't lie, dude. He also didn't lie. He gave an answer that deflected the question, but he did not lie because of course he knows that happened. But listen to what he actually said again. Did he deny that he knew?
Who says that they were involved in the freak-offs and it's being shopped around Hollywood. Have you heard anything?
I have my hands full with the discovery, and I'm not really paying attention to all that other stuff.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but I respect a person who can navigate a question like that they do not want to answer without lying. or just overtly being like, we're not going to answer that question. Now that comes from years and years and years and years of practice, being in front of juries, not like, I like it when people don't have to lie, man, right? He needs to keep that relationship. The second that he says, we're not answering that question, that's standoffish. That's a standoffish answer. This is a person who knows how to navigate conversations and remain likable. He is an incredibly competent attorney. And so that is very notable. I mean, not just from that exchange, but we're comparing two attorneys as we get into who and why someone was quit or fired, right? So here's what happened on February 19th. Sean Diddy Combs claims feds are going after him using racist law that no white person has ever been charged with. Okay, we went over this before. But just to reiterate, okay, I want to break down exactly what this motion actually says. I'm going to read you an excerpt from it, and then I'll kind of define what is actually being said. Okay, so this is a quote. What was racist in its inception has often been racist in its operation. The 13-page memorandum of law in support of a motion to dismiss count 3 of the superseding indictment. Quote, the statute's target was black male sexuality. And from Jack Johnson to Chuck Berry, the statute's most notorious prosecutions targeted famous black men accused of deviant sexual behavior. This case continues that trend. In count 3, the government charges a violation of the act based on allegations that Mr. Combs transported male escorts from a legal escort service across state lines to have sex with his girlfriend. All right, so I was looking for additional information that was not in that article, so I switched articles. Same story, though. His lawyers filed a motion Tuesday to dismiss his transportation to engage in prostitution charge, arguing that, quote, no white person has ever been the target of a remotely similar prosecution. Okay. And so, I mean, this is unbelievable. They're saying the Mann Act of 1910 has historically been used to, quote, target black men. The act has a long and troubling history as a statute with racist origins used to target black men and supposedly protect white women from them. Okay. And I'm just going to summarize it, right? Okay, or I could just quote this. He's singled out because he is a powerful black man and he is being prosecuted for conduct that regularly goes unpunished. All right? So that's that motion. And just to put that into perspective, okay, here's what he said legally, okay? He accuses the government of racially profiling Diddy and thus prosecuting him for committing a crime using a statute or a law that is not normally enforced, especially not against white people. And you're like, all right, so I just want to break this down. Now, look, hey, spoiler alert, the whole point of me showing you the guys at the beginning was like, hey, which of these two attorneys, do you think filed that motion? This guy or this guy? Okay? Hey, who came up with the bright idea to file that motion? And again, I just want to explain to you why that is so ludicrous, okay? Because what this dude actually said here in the motion is he's acknowledging that Diddy used the escort service, okay? Because there's another part of the filing where he says that the company that he used is advertised in Vogue and in Complex and all these, he names all these magazines that they promote their services. He's like, it's not like they're some underground service. They are in these, advertised in these large periodicals and blah, 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 right? And then says he was just getting these guys to come and have sex with his, with his girlfriend in front of him, man. And these are not normally enforced. Okay, I didn't go to law school, dude, but apparently I have a better understanding of how all of this works than his attorney who wrote this, which I'm going to assume is this dude. And it's like, guy, none of those things makes any difference at all. Okay, you just admitted that he committed the crime that you are trying to get him out of in a court filing. Okay, first of all, your argument is idiotic to begin with. Like you just saying they're targeting him because he's black, that doesn't invalidate the law that exists and whether or not he committed the crime. It's as simple as this. If you are not legally allowed to transport a person whose profession is having sex with other people, overstate lines with the express intention of paying them to have sex with anyone, okay, then it's a crime if you do that. Bottom line, you may think the law is stupid and you may think most of the time it's not enforced, but if you do the thing that is written in law, then you have committed that crime, okay, like that. And so you saying, well, it's not enforced on white people is not a legal argument. That makes no difference. There is absolutely no way that the court is going to throw that out because your argument doesn't in any way even address the process by which the court is going to make decisions about whether or not something has credibility or should be thrown out or whatever. It makes no sense. It's one of the stupidest filings I've ever seen. Although I will say, having followed this case and, the Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively, and Justin Baldoni situation and reading that filing too, the most recent one, apparently lawyers just filed these motions because they want to kind of say things. This guy said this in a podcast. Okay, that guy said that in a podcast 4 years ago. And so that, you're like, what are you doing? Are you just like, honestly, it makes me think that attorneys are just justifying hours of time that they've worked with their client who doesn't know any better. And so they're like, yeah, I had to write this motion, took a lot of research. And so that's going to be $30,000. You know what I mean? Even if maybe much more than that, actually, in some cases. But like, you made no argument that it has any chance at all of having a positive effect on your case. And in this case, it has a negative effect on it because you admitted in the filing that he committed the crime that you're trying to get dropped from the case. It's like incompetence, okay? And again, I don't know that this guy did it, right? Maybe it was the lead attorney, this guy who filed that motion, and then it was this guy because guess when this guy quit, right? When did he leave the case? 2 days later. It was filed February 19th, and on February 21st, he left the case, okay? Took less than 48 hours for that motion to get filed and one of the attorneys to leave the case. So you tell me, dude, hey, which of these two guys do you think filed the dumbest motion ever crying racism when establishing racist intent would not have done anything because you admitted in the filing he committed the crime? So it's like, historically, in other cases, is used against black people. What does that have to do with anything? You literally just admitted that he committed the crime, and you're asking us to drop it from the case because you think it's mean that they chose to prosecute him for it? It's the stupidest thing ever. And so, given that this guy is the lead attorney, and it's this guy who is no longer on the case, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that this guy filed that motion without discussing it with this guy who is the lead attorney because, this dude and Diddy, Diddy's sitting in there going crazy. I actually can excuse Diddy for bad strategic decisions right now because he's sitting in a box going insane all day, right? But then you have this dimwit who comes in there and Diddy's like, why don't we go with the, he starts telling him, yeah, no one, he probably had a meeting with him, honestly, and he's going through the charges and it's like, and he's like, what is this Mann Act? And this guy knows a lot of history of those laws, I would imagine. And so it's probably true that the inception of that law did have racist intent in 1910, right? Oh, it's never enforced or whatever. And so he gives him the historical, basis of this law and then tells Diddy how he's in a bad spot. He's on, he's being a victim of whatever. And so Diddy probably goes crazy. He's like, file the motion, whatever. This guy just does it, and then you have this dude behind him who is his main attorney, who literally looked at him and was like, you are incompetent, and let me tell you why. And then he's like, you're fired, And then moving into the filing today, which, like I said, is the polar opposite of the filing that we just went over, where this threatens to topple the entire prosecution's case. Okay, I think the timing, though, it is possible that exactly how this happened from a timeline perspective is you have Diddy meets with Ricco. They have that conversation. He tasks Ricco with filing that motion without discussing with the lead attorney, Agnifilo. And then after that's filed, and Agnifilo comes and explains to Diddy why what they did was completely ludicrous and that guy needs to be off the team for gross mismanagement. First of all, he filed a motion without even talking to the lead attorney. And in the motion, he essentially admitted to the crime that you are being accused of in an attempt to get the charges dropped. It's so incompetent that it's bordering on insane. And then so Diddy, being Diddy, maybe he says, well, at least he's doing something. You know, you guys have seen Diddy, right? Like, you guys have seen Diddy operate. Does that sound like Diddy? At least he's doing something, man. I'm just here going crazy. I'm going crazy, man. I'm just here going crazy. What are you doing to get me out of here, man? And at that point, Agnifilo, his lead attorney, tells him that we've been working on a motion that goes for the entire tree, which would state essentially that the legal basis that they had to raid your homes, which is where they got all of this digital evidence against you, which led to knowing who all of these people were to go talk to those victims, all the prosecution witnesses, every single thing that they have is fruit of the poisonous tree if they can prove this motion. He's like, okay, do you understand what fruit of the poisonous tree means? Or fruit of a poisonous tree? I don't remember which one it is, you know. But like that, fruit of a poisonous tree, do you understand what that means, Diddy? Because if this goes our way, it kills their entire case. Because even if they have witnesses, you can argue the only reason they even knew to talk to that witness is because they violated the law. They went in, they got the video, they found the person in the video and went and found them in real life. That's how they found the girl who was in the recording studio that got tied up, you know, the one that we talked about, and she threw up. Okay, how do you think, where do you think that case came from 20 years later? I mean, I don't know for sure, but I know that she was shocked to find out that there was a video of the assault. Remember that? That's what she said. Okay, this is the girl. If you guys haven't seen that video, man, it is rough, dude. I made it. It was a video about Justin Bieber. There's a video, or on the thumbnail, there's a picture of a dude who does kind of look like Bieber. You know, he's tied. It's not Bieber, but he's hogtied. And there's a part of the thing about Bieber. You know, I think the title has something to do with Bieber, but the hogtie, the actual hogtie reference is about this case where this girl was hogtied and just brutally assaulted by Diddy. And her story is insane. It's insane. But the way, and it was 20 years ago, and the way she found out, someone brought her a video of it. Okay. So again, all the civil cases will move forward, but the criminal case, I don't think that the prosecution can use her if the way that she was found is through, you know, a warrant that was obtained lying to the judges. Okay. So that's essentially what they're arguing. And I'm going to tell you what they're going to say, what they say that the lie is. Okay. So, so then they file it, right? Like, he's like, that's what we're working on. And Diddy's like, well, why didn't you say something? He's like, I mean, I did 100 times. I just didn't think I had to like specifically notate to you and, the black attorney on our team, conspire together and come up with some ludicrous argument about racism without consulting me and then filing that. Like, I didn't think I needed to, like make a specific point about that. I just assumed you guys were not that stupid, but it's not your fault. You're going crazy in a 4x6. That guy, nah. Anyway, so here is the motion, right? So evidence federal prosecutors obtained through searches of Sean Diddy Combs' homes in through Diddy Combs' homes in Los Angeles, Miami, and elsewhere must be suppressed because the warrants that authorized those searches were unconstitutional. Defense attorneys argued Sunday in a new court filing, okay? The defense argued the warrant applications for the Diddy house's iCloud accounts, phones, hotel room were overbroad, excluded facts that could have been favorable to Combs, and presented a grossly distorted picture of reality. Okay, so what they're talking about, again, they're talking about the motions that went to the judge, or the warrant applications that went to the judges. It's like, here's why we need to raid his home. Okay, like, you can't just like raid people's homes. I assume all of you guys know that, right? Unusual search and seizure, all that, you have it's in the Constitution, right? You have to go to a judge. They have to give a specific warrant so that you can enter people's homes and go grab all their stuff. Search warrant. Everybody knows that. And the application on that, they're saying were lies, or at the very least were grossly misrepresented. And like I said, when I started this, I don't think that their argument is off base, dude, like at all. So the heavily redacted, and again, I just want to keep reiterating, I'm not saying that Diddy's innocent. I'm just talking about in terms of the legal process. The heavily redacted defense motion does not publicly reveal the specifics of what prosecutors allegedly omitted, but said the warrant application eliminated important context that the magistrate judge who approved them should have seen, including about a certain witness that the defense contended had reason to fabricate and embellish. Okay, they're talking about Cassie. That's who this is. I mean, do I know for sure? I keep like, I know we're talking like big. Sometimes these videos I do, I mean, I have videos that got 1 million views about this. Okay. I have to be careful. I have to assume that people who would want to sue me and have the willingness and ability to sue me might watch it. That's why I have to say, like, do I know for sure? No. But again, I'm pretty good at this. And I would say the likelihood that is Cassie is, I mean, it's nearly a certainty to me. Okay. So, but it worked. The government, and by the way, the reason she would have a reason to embellish and lie is because she had a, civil charge. She got a $30 million settlement by saying, what is implied to have been his behavior in these things. Now, obviously, he beat up Cassie, of course. We all know that. And I'm sure, I'm not saying he was like a good guy to Cassie, right? But the way that they are presenting her as a victim of, like in these freak offs, as she's a victim, right? That's shaky, man. Just her. I'm not talking about everybody. But Cassie was with him for 11 years. And they did this like weekly, supposedly. She would be the one who went and reserved hotel rooms. She's the one who would reach out and get escorts half the time. Okay. That's per everything I've read. She was the one who was like setting these things up. All right. But it worked. The government got its warrants, leaked damaging information, and then executed a military-style raid at the Combs residence. Here, rather than giving the reviewing magistrate fair summary, the government hid exculpatory evidence to bolster the case. Okay? Said that some of the most salacious details recounted in the search warrant applications came from an unnamed producer whose accusations were never credible. They're talking now. That one is what's his name? Oh my God, I'm forgetting. You guys all know. Oh my God, he's got like a funny name. It's the producer that worked on the Love album, and he filed that lawsuit that named everybody. Like just named absolutely everybody. His name is going to come to me and it's going to drive me nuts. But you guys know who we're talking about if you follow the case. And those were never credible. What producer one told investigators is redacted, but the defense said had relayed stories about his time working for Combs. Now, that guy never got paid, okay? He has a really big beef with Diddy. Doesn't mean that a lot of the stuff that he said in his lawsuit is maybe not true, but I'm just like, he does have a reason to, do it. And so if the investigators are using just his word without any kind of, just this guy said this, then that's shaky too. But most of it, from my position, has to do with the Cassie stuff. You know what I mean? And here's the big thing. The motion said that the government does not plan to call producer one to testify. Why would they not? Okay, if he's credible enough to get a search warrant from, but now it turns out they're not even going to use him as a witness, which means his information was not credible, which means that what they're saying is basically the entire basis of the search warrant was from the word of Cassie, who had a reason to lie. And also the big one is that there are videos of these freak-offs, tons of them, right? And the defense is like, she's a willing participant. It's not even, they're like, and everything I've read about that, it's like, it's not even up for debate, man. Like, she was a willing participant in this. She was a, not like more than a willing participant. She was a enthusiastic participant in the freak-offs, okay? Now, obviously, look, I don't have any idea what it's like to be in a relationship where some dude is beating me up and I have no ability to physically protect myself. I don't have any idea what that's like. What I am saying, though, is if you have a thing that you do once a week for 11 years or whatever, let's say they started 2 years, for almost a decade, and you are actively taking steps to set those things up yourself, and you never really it's not like she kept running away and trying to break up with Diddy and then getting drawn back in. It's not like it was like that. It's not like an R. Kelly situation. Then if you are getting a reason to invade someone's home, then, and again, I'm just thinking through this legally, if they are able to demonstrate that Cassie was not, in fact, unwilling and that it was a lie, then if that was used as the basis to go raid his homes and then the rest of the entire case is based on the raids, then that would make all the evidence fruit of the poisonous tree if the judge sides with the defense, okay? Now, do I think that they are going to? I don't know. I have no idea. What I'm saying, I guess what I would say is this. I think Cassie was much more involved. I think that these freak-off things, that she was a very active participant. I don't believe that she was being held hostage for 10 years. And then every single time for 10, dude, and they were saying once, twice a week. all right, for 10 years. She has to drive herself there. She has to have her driver take her there. She has to have, like, she wasn't with Diddy all the time. She had to make choices to get there. She could have fled. I know he's scary, but there's a big difference between like, yeah, I'm scared of him. And then also we do this thing over here for 10 straight years. And I am a victim every single time, like she's not like R. Kelly. She wasn't locked in rooms, like there is some responsibility from her to be had. And my point is that particular thing being the sole basis of how they got the search warrants, and then every part of the case being that, if you can break that one flimsy little thing where it's like, dude, she wasn't a victim in what you're saying, and it wasn't even reasonable to say that, then you could potentially bring the whole tree down. I honestly don't think it's very likely that the judge will rule that way. My guess, honestly, is that they've got the judge, This is just my guess, dude. I'm just saying, the reason this happened is because he went up against BlackRock. Like, it's probably not that hard. Rodney Jones, by the way, is who we were talking about. And then also, I want to show you this, dude. Check this out, okay? Because Gabrielle and I were looking at something this weekend having to do with these guys, all right? So, check this out. All right? All right, so when you look at the pictures of these guys, right? Like, when you look at this, the first thing I said, this is Cassie's new husband, is I was like, bro, that guy looks like another one who's down to swing both ways. That was like my honest take. I'm like, whoa, that dude's down for whatever. And I looked here, I'm like, oh, she's in another relationship doing the same thing, would be my guess. If I just look at these two, and I know for sure that she was in a swinger lifestyle relationship before, and I'm just eyeballing it, I'd be like, oh yeah, they're in the life for sure. That's what swingers call swinging, the lifestyle. And I mean, this to me definitely looks like people who are down to like eat some drugs and bang for 3 straight days, right? And here's what really did it for me is when you scroll down, like here's them again, but then you get down to here, okay? Like these are obviously older pictures, and look at him, okay? Look at him. Look at his eyes. He's clear here. For those of you who know, okay, like for those of you who know what you're looking at, right here, he looks clear, right? Just like me, Right here, I look clear. And check this out, okay? Compare that to that. I mean, are you guys, people who, I guess, I am not making a direct accusation, Cassie and your husband. I know you guys have lots of money to sue people. I have no idea what you guys do. I'm just saying on an eyeball test, if I was forced to guess whether or not these two have learned that, it's fun. It's fun to ingest substances that potentially enable you to have sex for a very, very long time with multiple people. That might be something that they know about. And I have a feeling that this version of the dude was not aware of that. And at this point, only one of them would have known, believe it or not, you guys, women can, in fact, influence a couple's sexual behavior. It has happened before. This would not be the first time. Yeah, they looked so wholesome back then. Not so wholesome now. Man, $30 million. They're going to have some fun times, Big hangovers. Anyway, so that's what I got, all right? You got 2 attorneys. He's still got the good one. The other one, I can't even, I still, like, when you really think of it, I can't even wrap my brain around the fact that he all but admitted to committing the crime that they are asking to have dropped because it's not traditionally used against white people or something. It's the dumbest argument ever. Anyway, that's what I got. And for those of you who waited this long, first of all, you should definitely subscribe to my channel and like the video because you watch the whole thing. But most importantly, I just got an alert that Tony Busby is currently banned from litigating cases in Southern New York District or Eastern or Southern, whatever. He can't prosecute or he can't litigate cases in New York because of this thing with Jay-Z. Jay-Z has now officially sliced a chunk of Tony Busby right off his body. So we'll see how that plays out. I got a video coming on that probably tomorrow. Later.